Hello, my name is Rachel, and today I'm doing the next top 10 Tuesday tag. And for this topic today, we're talking about our favorite book couples. I'm sure because Valentine's Day is this weekend, so we're just sharing the love of our favorite couples in books. So I'm starting off strong with my OG couple, my forever and always couple, which is Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. It is my favorite book. I love their love, and I pretty much always will. And I found that that's typically my favorite love story arc, the kind of hate to love, where they start out not liking each other, but throughout the novel they learn more and more about each other, and they realize that they kind of judged them a little harshly at the beginning, and now they really, really like them. So for me, it's always going to be Elizabeth and Darcy. Forever and always. Next up is one that is also on television, but it is from a comic, so I figured I'd count it here today, and that is Bob and Linda Belcher from Bob's Burgers. I think they're fantastic. I hope that if I ever get married, that I have such an epic marriage as they do, where they're just totally real with each other, and they're allowed to be weird and quirky, and they still love each other, and they just have, you know, weird little happy lives together. I think they're fantastic, and I absolutely love them as a couple. I think they're like goals for couples. I really, really do. Next up is Marcus and Jessica. This is from the Jessica Darling series, the first one being Sloppy First by Megan McCafferty. I read this such a long time ago, and I really want to go back and reread it, especially now that I'm talking about it, because I loved Jessica and Marcus, and you really see their relationship kind of develop. It's a huge arc over the 5 books in the series. They start out in high school, and they're kind of opposite of each other, but they're kind of drawn together. And you see this whole thing evolve over the first book. And then you see just the fact of the relationship evolving. They fall apart. They come back together. They're not sure if they're meant for each other. They struggle through things. And I love them. I think it's realistic. I think it's hopeful. I think they're just so much fun. And I really, really like them together. I really have got to reread the series now. Next up is Georgia and Dave the Laugh from the Georgia Nicholson Diary series. Oh my gosh. I absolutely adore this series. I think Georgia is hilarious, and I think that these two are my favorite pairing. Now, throughout the series, there's 10 books in the Georgia Nicholson series. These are all by Louise Renison. They're hilarious, by the way, if you haven't read them. Georgia, her love fluctuates throughout. So it's not as it was with Marcus and Jessica in the previous one, where it's kind of mostly them together. Georgia and Dave the Laugh have some ups and downs, but Georgia has a lot of different love interests. She's a young teenage girl, and she's, you know, got a lot of crushes on people, and I just think Dave the Laugh is my favorite for her. I think they're perfect together, and I just love the scenes with her and Dave. Now, I do like some of her other boyfriends. Like, they're not all like awful people, but I think Dave is really the one for her, which I just love them together. Next up is Laia and Elias from the Ember and the Ashes series by Saba Tahir. I like them, I think, mostly because it doesn't seem like a romance. Like, I market this book to everybody in my school libraries, and everybody likes it, especially the boys. It's hard to sell boys on like a strict romance, and that is absolutely not what this book is. And I think that's why I like it so much, because it kind of sneaks up on you. And I can see this happening. I mean, obviously not the events in the book, but I can see this kind of a relationship developing in real life, kind of just by way of interacting every day. And I just love them together. I think their growing bond is just fantastic. This isn't quite the love to hate story exactly, but it is kind of in the same idea of they really don't know anything about each other. in the initial part of the book. They actually are kind of on opposite sides of this horrible world they're kind of living in, and they get to find a lot of commonalities, and they begin to understand each other a little bit more and care for each other, and it's just really sweet, and I really, really, really enjoy their relationship. I think they're fantastic together. Next up is Cassie and Evan from the Fifth Wave series. Now, Cassie is a girl on her own in this post-apocalyptic world, and she is basically being hunted down by this force that is taking people out. They're not sure what they are. They believe they're aliens, but who knows at this point who is doing anything? Who knows what is up at this point? So she ends up being shot, and this random boy saves her and brings her to his kind of stronghold in his house and like nurses her back to health, and he has a secret of his own. But oh my god, I love them together, and I don't want to say too much because I feel like it's a big spoiler if you have not read the series, but oh my gosh, they're fantastic. I love them together. I can see a lot of people not agreeing with me on that, but that's okay. It's my opinion. I love them. I'm going to stick to it. And Cassie and Evan are from the Fifth Wave series. This is by Rick Yancey. Next up is another one that I feel like probably no one is going to agree with me on, and that's okay. I can be on my own on this one, and it's fine. I love Sam and Grace from the Shiver Wolves of Mercy Falls series by Maggie Stiefvater. I know so many people don't like this series, and I will admit there are problems. It's kind of cheesy. I don't think it is Maggie Stiefvater's best work. I think The Raven Boys is fantastic, but I still love this couple. I feel like they're just like what teenagers would be like. We're moody and angsty and just kind of dramatic about everything, but I don't know. It just feels realistic to me, and it feels like they are good for each other, which is what I enjoy in a romance, looking for favorite couples, when they really are good for each other. And I think they are. Obviously, it causes problems. If you are unaware, this is a series about a werewolf-human experience, which I know, but I love it. I think they're fantastic. I love them. I read that book all the time. It's one of my favorites, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. Next up is Monty and Percy from A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. And if you have not read this yet, there might be some spoilers here, so just heads up. I just think they're a fantastic couple together. I think it was so much fun kind of watching them deal with their feelings for each other. And if you haven't read this and you're still listening to me, this is in a historical setting where not only were you not allowed to be gay, but Percy himself was having a lot of difficulties being a black person in this setting. He also had epilepsy, I believe it was. So they were ready just to ship him off to an asylum. So both boys are dealing with a tremendous lot of drama already, and now they're in love with each other. So you're rooting for them, absolutely, but it's nice to see them make it through, and spoiler alert, end up together and seemingly happy, because their romance carries into the sequel. While they're not the main focus of the sequel, it is actually Monty's sister Felicity. We get to see their lives together, and you know, they don't have a lot. They no longer have the wealth they were used to, but they're happy. And I think that's what everybody is always wanting in a relationship. Maybe to get the hard stuff out of the way first, and then, you know, live happily ever after together. So I love them. I think they're fantastic. They're so cute. Next up is Dimple and Rishi from When Dimple Met Rishi. I think it would have been really hard not to just fall in love with this couple. If you're unfamiliar, this is a book by Sandhya Menon, and the premise of this is kind of an arranged marriage between these two young Indian American students. And Rishi, his whole family is on board with this arranged marriage, and he's really excited to meet Dimple. However, Dimple has not been told. Dimple's parents have set this all up and have not told her. So when she's approached by Rishi, kind of a little more forthright than he might have been otherwise, she immediately throws her coffee on him. She thinks he's a creep and she runs away. So, I mean, I don't know how you could have a better setup for a romantic comedy than that. But obviously they end up spending more time together, and once again, it's kind of going from not knowing anything about each other to knowing a lot. Having sympathy and feelings and appreciating the other by the end, and it's just fantastic. I love them as a couple. I think they're just the best, and I think most of Sania Menon's characters are just fantastic, by the way. Her love stories are awesome. And last but not least, I'm going to do just a blanket Casey West couple here, because I pretty much love all those. Again, they're cheesy, and they're not the most literary based books ever, but they're so fun to read, and I usually like her male characters more than her female characters, because her male characters are just swoon worthy, but her female characters sometimes are kind of annoying. But you're still rooting for them because they just seem great for each other. They seem like they're going to work well, and they're going to help each other. They have the kind of yin and yang that fits together and makes them better people on their own when they're together. So pretty much just blanket statement for all Casey West couples. Let's add them in there. All right, so there you have it, my top 10 favorite couples in books, and now I'm in the mood for Valentine's Day. I'm in the mood for love now that we've talked about these favorite couples. So let me know down below some of your favorite bookish couples. I would love to know. And if you also just absolutely adore Pride and Prejudice and my dear sweet Darcy and Elizabeth, let me know below as well. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you again in another video soon. Bye for now.